The friendship between J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis has got to be one of the most significant literary friendships in the world. Certainly, their friendship was, on the face of it, quite unlikely. They first met in 1926 at a faculty meeting at the University of Oxford, and it didn't seem like they would be the kind of people who would become friends. At that point in his life, Lewis was an atheist, and not only an atheist, but one with a very anti-Catholic background. And furthermore, the first reaction that Lewis had to Tolkien was not entirely flattering. He wrote in his diary after that meeting that Tolkien is a smooth, pale, fluent little chap, no harm in him, only needs a smack or so. And yet, the two men became friends over their shared love of the Norse sagas. And this shared literary interest led them to become closer, and eventually, actually not too long after, Tolkien took the step of sharing with Lewis the draft of his Middle-earth poem, The Lay of Leithian, which was a really significant move of vulnerability on Tolkien's part, because this is one of the great tales of Middle-earth, the tale of the human barren and the elf princess Luthien. And to show his unfinished work in progress to his new friend, well, it was a brave move for Tolkien. And Lewis responded beautifully. He loved the poem, he gave Tolkien very warm and affirming feedback, but he also gave him critical feedback. He gave suggestions how he might improve the poem. But he managed to do so in a way that was encouraging and supportive and inspiring to Tolkien. So, although Tolkien never finished the poem, this is very typical of Tolkien, it had an immediate positive effect in that the two men became fast friends. And this meant that as they spent more time together, they were able to talk about more serious things. And Tolkien was able to help Lewis in his own journey of faith. Now, Lewis had started out as an atheist. During these years, he had gradually become a theist, a believer in God, but he was not yet a Christian. And it was at a pivotal conversation that Lewis had with Tolkien and with another friend, Hugo Dyson, that this changed. The three of them were walking in Magdalen College on the famous walk called Addison's Walk and discussing this mythic reality, the idea of the mythic truth of Christianity. And Tolkien was able to articulate for Lewis the concept that Christianity was not just a set of abstract doctrines that he had to take in, because Lewis was having difficulty with this, but that Christianity was a story. Now, it was a story that he believed to be true, but not losing its mythic power by this. It was what Lewis would later call a true myth. And this conversation and Tolkien's contribution to it so helped Lewis that shortly thereafter he took the next step and became a Christian. And this was really pivotal to Lewis's literary career as well. If it hadn't been for Tolkien's encouragement and Tolkien's articulation of this mythic element of Christianity, Lewis might never have become a Christian, or might have become a Christian much later in his life. And we probably wouldn't have books like Mere Christianity or The Chronicles of Narnia. And that is such an important gift from Tolkien to Lewis. But it was also a mutual benefit. For one thing, during this time when Tolkien was encouraging Lewis in his faith, Tolkien himself was coming out of a bit of a slump in his faith. So this dynamic helped encourage Tolkien, helped him to grow stronger in his own faith. And then, as their friendship continued over the years, Lewis was then able to play a really significant role in Tolkien's own creative life, because as Tolkien struggled with finishing The Lord of the Rings, this epic work that took him a decade to write, Lewis was constantly encouraging him to complete it. And in fact, Tolkien said after it was finished, of Lewis's support, he said, "But for his interest and unceasing eagerness for more, I should never have brought The Lord of the Rings to a conclusion." And so this friendship between the two men was really pivotal for both of them, and has given us, the readers, works like The Chronicles of Narnia and The Lord of the Rings. A very fruitful literary friendship indeed.